The four most dangerous words in investing are, "This time it's different." Sir John Templeton. Welcome back to the Dojo, the series where I teach you the skills necessary to identify and protect yourself from gynocentric and feminist threats. Before we get started, let's revisit my rule for relationships. Too many people wrongly believe the default setting in a relationship should be to listen and believe. It's not. It should be to neither trust nor distrust, then reconcile and analyze her words and actions over time to determine her trustworthiness and investment. Never invest in a relationship any more than she invests in return. If you define the relationship beyond the actual level of investment you're receiving, you'll set yourself up to be taken advantage of. It's important to realize the relationship is over when her investment stops, not when you part ways. In part 1 of this series, I discuss reconciliation in relationships and why it's important to reconcile her words with her actions. In this video, I'll be discussing how to determine whether she's a bad investment to help you better reconcile her words with her actions. This will allow you to more objectively gauge her actual relationship investment to determine whether or not to end it. I think it's best we discuss relationships from an employer-employee perspective. What I mean by this is that almost all of us have had jobs where we've worked for someone else. Almost every job has disciplinary procedures for when workers fail or refuse to honor the job commitments they made when they were hired. Committed romantic relationships should be treated in the exact same way. All employers have rules outlining grounds for both progressive discipline and immediate firing. Again, I believe relationships should be treated exactly the same way. Therefore, if she makes a mistake that isn't grounds for immediately ending the relationship, she needs to be told what the mistake is and what's needed to fix it to keep the relationship alive. For example, let's say she starts avoiding you or is otherwise absent from the relationship, either physically or emotionally. Well, if you were her employer and she called off to work or constantly showed up late, she would get written up for it, with a warning not to do it again, assuming that she had a verifiable, legitimate reason for the absence or tardiness. For example, if she was sick, she should be able to verify this. Remember, if you cannot factually verify the reason for her avoidance, tardiness, or absence, then you shouldn't accept it because she's more than likely lying to you or concealing the true reason she's backed away. This is a red flag that she's not invested in you. Also, if she demonstrates she's not invested in you 3 times within 90 days, you should end it with her because she's likely using you. If she doesn't respect your time, she's not invested in your relationship. Remember, if she's not invested, no relationship exists. So, if she no-called, no-showed for time together, just like an employer, you may want to consider immediately ending your relationship. Now, let's take this a step further. In the beginning stages of dating, a woman deep into the cock carousel will often actively resist scheduling time together or will avoid making concrete plans to spend time with you. This is because she's actively courting other men, usually several at a time. PUAs call this spinning plates. It's also the number one indicator she has zero investment in you. Now, the beginning stages of dating are exactly like the probationary period in a job. If the probie fucks up, no matter what they do, they can and probably should be immediately fired on the spot. You should treat potential dating relationships in the exact same way. If she fucks up right in the beginning, she is absolutely not worth committing to, especially if her free time, like her pussy and other orifices, are being stuffed full by other men. Now, with this in mind, understand that, like a job, during the probationary period, she's supposed to be earning that full-time position with you. But let's say she fucked up. Well, you don't have to fire her. You can still keep her around for an on call booty call position, with the understanding she'll never be worth a full time commitment. You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Now, let's say she's gotten past the probationary period and you've entered into a committed relationship. You should still make sure she knows the circumstances for immediately ending it, just like an employer has grounds for immediately firing a worker without warning. These should be a pattern of dishonesty, infidelity of any kind, even if she says it didn't lead to fucking, and of course, unexplained long absences. As a reminder, if she's not with you, she's with someone else. Also, another reason to end it immediately is if she is embezzling your emotions. That means if she's using you as an emotional tampon, but is either partially or completely turned off physical intimacy or sex. Just as importantly, do you turn to her for emotional support and find she's either physically or emotionally unavailable or otherwise non supportive? If this is the case, she's embezzling your emotional investment while fucking someone else. Even if she's not fucking them currently, she's about to. Just like a job, especially since feminism has destroyed the male female social contract, forgiveness has no place in modern relationships. Because even if you forgive her, instead of repenting and committing to never making that mistake again, she'll just evolve into a more efficient liar. More importantly, be aware of gaslighting and projection. For example, let's say you catch her in a mistake that isn't worthy of immediately ending it. Yet she adamantly refuses to accept responsibility and tries to deflect it by claiming you're insecure or otherwise mistaken, even though you have independently verified your facts. Or she cannot verify the truth of the story she's trying to sell. Oftentimes, if she does this, her projection or gaslighting will be accompanied by either getting extremely angry, bursting into tears, or becoming hypersexual with you in an effort to persuade you to adopt her narrative. If this happens, ghost her immediately. She's a superpower thought and a high level narcissistic predator. I don't care how long you've been with her, ghost immediately. You do anything else, and she will often turn on you and start falsely accusing you of domestic violence, rape, and other crimes to rehabilitate her destroyed credibility and reputation. In part 3 of this series, I'll be discussing how to identify whether or not she's compartmentalizing your relationship and why you should avoid women who do this. If you've enjoyed this video, found it educational or insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell so you'll be notified when I upload new content. You can also support my work on Patreon. And in case I'm targeted by YouTube, I mirror all my content on Bitchute and MGTOW.com. Further, you can always find me at MissAndreToday.com, where you can contact me directly. In addition, you can direct message me on Gab or Minds.com. All the links are in the description. I'm DDJ, and this has been your dose of Miss Andrie Today.